Well, today we've got actor and teacher Josh Pais. I want to make sure I said your last name correctly,
You
Josh.
said it perfectly. Thank
All
you.
right. I want to make sure because you see a name so often that you sometimes you never hear it that often, like pronounced. You just read it and
Yep.
credits and stuff. You're here in Tucson today at Comic-Con this
Yeah,
weekend. We're
today and
excited
tomorrow. Yep.
today and tomorrow, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. And we're excited to talk about your career, your iconic role as Raphael with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and of course, you got a brand new book coming out, which I just finished this morning, and it's called "Lose Your Mind: The Path to Creative Invincibility."
Yes.
So let's first talk about Comic-Con. What does it mean for you to connect with fans in an event like this?
I mean, it is so wild that this movie is still being talked about. It still has an enormous fan base. And so many people come up to me and they tell me that this movie, my character in particular, like helped them through their childhood. And that Raphael has a lot of angst. And, I mean, everybody's got a lot of angst, but I think kids of a certain age, especially if their childhood, if the home is a little tumultuous, don't know how to deal with that angst. And so many people have come up to me and said, watching this movie over and over and over again, and Raphael's angst, it taught me that it's okay. It's taught me that I'm okay.
And that's kind of like I've noticed that theme that you just said is kind of like what your life is. It almost feels like your life mission is like that. It's okay.
Yes, it is. That is my life mission. And
So,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. So, I just got one more question because I read this on IMDb and I want to make sure it's true or not.
Okay.
Were you one of the only actors, in the turtle outfits that actually voiced it and wore the outfit?
I'm the only one that did that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the
And
only one. And I think it was because, I came up with this physicality for Raphael based on the neighborhood that I grew up in, which was Alphabet City, which is in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And when I was growing up, it was a very dangerous, violent, and also very creative neighborhood. But people walked with a certain swagger because everybody was trying to be a little bigger than they were because that was a survival strategy. And
Mhm.
when I, was offered Raphael, I thought, he's trying to prove something. He's unsettled in himself. And I kind of started playing with that way of moving. And somehow that way of moving, plus, I have a bit of New York accent, but, I kind of tweaked my New York accent for it. And the producers were just like, nobody else can do this. Nobody else can come up with a voice that matches, what you're doing physically. I mean, I think they should have let the other actors do their voices as well, but that's another story. But that's how it happened. They just could not imagine anyone else, you know, finding the vocal life of the character other than me.
So, when you first put on the costume, the outfit, I'm sure it was a lot of metal and plastic and whatever they did to build the character. Did you foresee the cultural impact that this would have even decades
No,
later?
no idea. And literally, I was trying to survive the shoot because the costume, once it was, soaked in sweat, weighed like something like 70 pounds. We could barely see because, you, the mat, what we're wearing on our head, you don't want to see our eyes, you want to see turtle eyes.
Yeah.
And, it was just felt like your blood was boiling and it was so physically demanding, um, that there was no room to think, oh, what is this movie going to be like? It was like every day, let me get through the day. And it was also, very helpful for creating Raphael for me because the suit was so intense that it kind of mirrored his struggles with life. And so I was able to channel all that, the physicality, the challenge of, being in the suit, and kind of channel that into the character. So on some level it was absolutely perfect. But no, we had no idea. We had no
Well,
idea, that we'd
well,
be talking about it today with you.
it's interesting too, is when you think about it, you see a lot now with the advent of CGI and all that stuff. You
Yeah.
did this the old school way. And you have
Yes,
so many actors and characters, and with the AI and everything now that you have, where it's probably a different experience for an actor going into a role like that now.
absolutely. And I do have to say, there's something in doing it that old school way, where in a sense, the soul of the actor comes through in a way that it doesn't come through with CGI. And I think that's one of the big reasons that this movie has had the life that it has and continues to have. It's now re-released in 1,000 theaters throughout the U.S. and it's going to open re-release worldwide soon. And
Yeah,
I
and
think
now
it's
you've got
because, yeah, go
kids who
ahead.
aren't even born
Yeah,
now are seeing this.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's because our bodies were in there, that it resonated in a different way.
Yep. I remember watching the movie the first time. I wasn't a kid at that point, but probably around the same age, but I still love the movie. I remember the comic books prior, and it did bring it to life. And it was amazing to watch, and it's still amazing to watching with the kids, and now I didn't know it was going to be coming out on the big screen again, which really is a different experience than watching it on TV.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about some of the other things you've done, because you're a great character actor.
Thank
Everything that I've seen you in, and there I won't mention names, but there are certain actors that when I see them, they're always that same person
you. Hmm.
in every role. Like they may have a different name, but it's the same person I see, or at least the image of that person, right? They may be different in real life, but every role I've seen you into, you kind of disappear into that character, which I love that type of acting. And you've also worked with heavyweights like De Niro, Pacino, and a ton of others. What helped you stay grounded when you're dealing with these big heavyweights like that, especially early in your career?
Yeah. I mean, it's really about the work. And, I work just as I created Raphael, based, bringing the physicality to life and letting that physical choice infiltrate my whole being, so that I'm not in my head, so that the choices just fire up impulses and then I let it take over. And so working that way, um, kept me out of my head while I was working, with Russell Crowe or Robert De Niro or Meryl Streep or, Joaquin Phoenix and Joker. Um, it's just, and it's just making the physical choice so that there's no room to go like, I can't believe, sometimes my mind will be like, I can't believe I'm doing a scene with so and so. But um it's ultimately like finding a dance. Acting is like finding the kinetic dance with the other actor, and it requires stepping into the unknown, because when the actors are stepping into the unknown where anything can happen, an audience can't help but become engaged because something real is happening.
Well, yeah, when I was reading your book, you were talking a little bit about, you came from theater. And
Yes.
then you got one of your first roles, and I forget who you were talking to, but you were doing a scene with somebody, and all
Uh-huh.
of a sudden you realized that they were talking to you. You didn't have to talk to the last row.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it kind of brought you into where you needed to be. You were listening.
Yeah, that was with Robert De Niro. That was the first movie that I did, a movie called Jackknife. And yeah, prior to that, I'd only worked in like small off Broadway theaters where they were always like, speak to the last row. And so when we started rehearsing the scene in front of the crew, I was speaking loud enough so that, people could hear, 40 feet away, but it was actually an intimate scene with my character and De Niro's character. And he kept just talking to me, only to me. And slowly it went from, be me like an amateur and a master to two people talking to each other. And that was an enormous lesson to me. It's almost a life lesson that, in everyday communication, we can get caught up in how I'm going to be or how I'm going to approach this conversation, as opposed to like surrendering to the magic of two beings speaking to each other, which is quite
Mhm.
phenomenal when you're really open to it.
Well, what kind of leads me to you created this class called, and you kind of mentioned it a moment ago, just with a committed impulse.
Yes.
What was the moment that you started, like you're an actor, you've done a bunch of other jobs, you're also a teacher now. And after reading your book, I can tell you're a teacher. But what started the committed impulse? Obviously, it started out like an acting class, but it became so much more, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, it started out, I had a very traditional actor training, and it was very psychologically based. And there were little moments where almost accidentally I was spontaneous. I was in that place of the unknown. And and I wanted to see how I could make that something I could count on. How can I have more access to spontaneity? And I went on a 2-year journey training with people from all over the world that were working very physically, working on impulse. And after that journey, people just started asking me to teach. And I was like, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to teach, but it was just relentless. It was like the universe was like, dude, teach. And so, and then NYU asked me to teach. And so then I just, stumbled into my first classroom and started experimenting. And I named it Committed Impulse. And then over the years, people from all professions have been coming to my classes because they they want to be more alive. They want to be more present. They don't want to listen. For everybody, I've been doing the teaching for over 30 years. Every single person I've discovered has the worst thoughts in their head. Like, I suck, I'm not good enough, why are they, I missed the boat, I did this wrong. And so this training gets people out of their head. And so people from all professions, like lawyers who want to, do their closing argument without judging themselves, teachers, coaches, people in all professions have been, even chefs who want to be able to commit fully to, to the act of cooking, and people in relationships that want to truly connect with their partner, because so often we can get into a place where we don't really see the person anymore. We just see
Mhm.
a history or decisions we've made. And this kind of takes off the veneer creatively and interpersonally so that you're relishing in being alive in that moment. And that's been a really interesting journey. It's helped people get rid of chronic pain and just be more present, more in their body. And it's been a really fascinating journey. And even this book came about where I had a conversation with somebody and they said, you should write a book. And I was like, yeah. And they pitched it and it evolved into, here's the book, by the way. It evolved into Lose Your Mind, The Path to Creative Invincibility. And Penguin Random House is publishing it. So it just feels like the teaching part of my life has been, I, I guess, a calling, or it's really interesting because it's not anything I ever planned. But
And the book comes out September 30th, right?
September 30th, yep, available everywhere.
And there's going to be an Audible as well?
Yes, and I did the Audible, so it's my recording,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
it's just, I'm so proud of it, and it's people that have read it, like, I've got amazing reviews like from Edward Norton and Parker Posey and Gabrielle Bernstein, and just so many people are loving it. And so I can't wait for, I can't wait for everybody to read it, because I really think it will make a difference to people's lives.
Well, the one thing that I found fascinating about the book, and I'm going to ask you a question about some of the things about the four access points.
Yes.
But one of the things I found interesting is so many self-help books seem to be all about changing, masking, uh,
Fixing.
breaking something down, fixing something. And this is more about leaning into the pain, leaning into the experience, leaning into the doubt, and then learning from it. Can you talk a little bit about that and then a little
Yeah,
bit about the four access points?
sure. So this work is about increase, like so many books, like you said, are about like how to get rid of anxiety, how to manage fear, and this is about increasing your tolerance for you, so that you don't have to manage, alter, suppress what you're feeling. And the more you can increase your tolerance for whatever you're feeling, then the world opens up to you. You become creatively invincible. You become invincible because you don't have to protect yourself from what you might feel. And that's a radical shift from so much self-help stuff, because there's nothing wrong. It's built into our DNA to feel everything that we feel. And there's, I think it's the second chapter is called The Great Myth. And from my point
Mhm.
of view, the great myth of our time is that there are good emotions and bad emotions. And as soon as we hold on to that belief, then naturally, if we're feeling something that's quote unquote bad, we're going to suppress it, lock it into our body so we don't feel it. But as soon as we lock anything into our body, as soon as we suppress or manage what we're feeling, all of our tension goes into our mind and tells us crap,
Yep.
abuse, like debilitating thoughts. So
Hmm.
this teaches you how to stay in your body, how to stay connected to your immediate environment and keep your breath going so that you're not living here. And though you asked about the four access points, one of them is I'm back. So as soon as you realize that your mind, you might be in a conversation with someone and you realize like you're thinking about what you're going to do later. As soon as you realize that your mind has taken you away, you say out loud, I'm back. Now, sometimes you can't always say it out loud, but in my classes, I have people say it out loud. As soon as they're like, oh my God, I just was like, I was thinking about what happened yesterday and I missed everything that was in front of me. So
Hmm.
one is, as soon as you catch that your mind has pulled you, as soon as you catch it, say, I'm back. Then return to your breath and breathe to feel your body more, not breathe to get rid of your body, breathe to feel your body. And feel your body in terms, emotions are energetic patterns, and it's their movement. It's an energetic pattern, because our body is made out of atoms. And my dad was a theoretical physicist who worked with Einstein.
Hmm.
And when I was a kid, he said, I was like, what is your job? And he said, do you see this table? I was like, yeah. You see your knee? Yeah. He said, the smallest part of that table and the smallest part of your knee are the same thing, atoms. And so later, when I started auditioning and had so much anxiety, I remembered my dad saying that and started to just feel the anxiety as atoms, as an energy pattern. And that took the judgment out of it. It was just an energy that I was feeling. So
Hmm.
you want to experiment feeling your body, the energetic pattern in your body, as opposed to judging it as a good pattern or a bad pattern. Living in a human body, you're going to vibrate. And so, again, back to increasing your tolerance for those vibrations. So it's I'm back, breathe, feel your body. And then the last one, and there's no order to these, is connecting to your immediate environment. And if you're listening right now, experiment seeing what's in front of you in terms of color, shape, texture, lightness, and darkness. Literally see what's there as a dog or a baby might see.
Hmm.
And that will pull you into the moment. It'll quiet your mind because you're shifting what you're listening to. And the book, I go into greater detail how to, use all these tools in all kinds of situations.
Yeah, I read the book in pretty much 24-hour period. And after I read the book, I went, I got to go back to this and actually do the work
Yeah,
because it's a course.
it
It's
is.
and I wanted to obviously learn about you and learn about the book by reading it. But as I'm reading it, I go, yeah, there's a lot to this. And I actually learned a lot just in the quick read I did of it. I
Yeah.
can't wait to actually delve into it a little bit more.
Yeah,
Or
at
actually
the
a
end
lot
of
more.
each chapter, there's exercises to instill the ideas into experience, so that you're not left with a bunch of ideas. It really is designed to create a shift in how you operate into the world.
Well, you know what I really enjoyed about it is you talked about, what people use to, I guess you would almost say numb themselves,
Yeah,
and the thing is, usually when people say that sentence, they're talking about drugs or alcohol or food, like you've said, but you really hit another point that's very important today. There's another addiction, and that's the thing we carry in our pocket. We look at our
yes,
phone, the scrolling, the incessant dopamine rushes we get from that.
yeah,
And you talk about go outside, walk without the phone, walk without, and then take in nature. What kind of got you to this point of, because I know you did yoga when you were since you were a kid
yeah,
and all that, but it seems like but you're not. It's very apparent in the book. You're not all hippy dippy, new agey either.
yeah. No,
It's
not
more
at
like
all.
analytical.
Yeah, I mean, I think, being an actor requires being open to your impulses, being connected to your body, being connected to the other actors so that magic can spring out of it. And I started to realize when I'm staring at my phone, being sucked in by, and, we have to realize billions and billions of dollars are being spent to have us, be idiots, going like this, looking for the next dopamine rush, like you said. But I started to realize, like, as soon as I went to my phone, my body became non existent. I was like, I didn't even, there was no aliveness. I was just like, and I started to just experiment, you know, taking a break. Of course, there's value to that tool, but
Yes.
not when it becomes a way to disconnect from your life. And the idea is like it's all about connection, but it creates disconnection.
Oh yeah.
And that's so unhealthy because the more disconnected we are from our body, the more active our minds are, and the more it's not healthy. It's not good for our whole endocrine system, our whole,
Yeah.
it's very, it's, it's the, one of the big concerns, of our time. And,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate that it's so addictive. And it takes will, like, and I put in the book, like, just put your phone aside, even go for a 15-minute walk, and it will
Hmm.
create a shift. You'll be, oh my God, like, you'll return to you. And just, you got to catch, if you're feeling nervous, uncomfortable, unsure, not to just pick this up and escape what you're feeling. See if you can hang out with those sensations so you don't have to keep running away from you.
Yep. And that's the thing I liked about the book too. You're talking about like if you have a negative feeling, feel it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
and
not
then
negative. It's not it's natural. Everything you feel is natural. And it's only this notion that it's good or bad, which, what if that's not true at all? What if
yeah,
we're creatures that vibrate,
yeah.
which is the truth? And, like, again, the more you increase your tolerance for you, you don't have to manage anything.
Well, the thing too in the book, if you push down, push down, push down, push down, you're never gonna grow from the experience of the
Right.
negativity to learn from it, to use it as a tool later in life,
Yeah.
or to teach someone else. Um, if there's one thing from the book, because I know I want people to read the book, and
Yeah.
there's so much more that they can get out of the book than we can in a half-hour conversation. But
Yes.
if there's one thing you want somebody to know about if they read the book and do the work, what are they going to get out of it?
They are going to, they're going to have a sense of peace, a sense of clarity, a sense of aliveness, a sense of playfulness, because we have to access our playfulness and our creativity. And in terms of creativity, it's not just about artists. It's like we need scientists that are creative. We
Oh, yeah.
need all the solutions to what's happening in the world are solvable if we nurture human creativity. And
Absolutely.
so, and every single person is creative regardless of what their profession is, and to step into their own artistry, I believe will be an incredibly positive, can create an incredibly positive shift in the world. And that's, I feel like this is my gift to humanity. It's not even about me, but this information has come through me, and I just know it will make a difference to people. And so I wrote it for you guys, so please enjoy.
Yeah, the book is called Lose Your Mind, The Path to Creative Invincibility, going to be out on September 30th, in regular book form and Audible, and narrated by you, the author.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm looking forward to actually listening to it as well.
Yeah.
So real quick, let's go back to Comic-Con.
Okay.
You're showing up there a little bit later
I
today.
have to
What
go in like a minute. I have to get up there.
I know, that's why I want to make sure I wrap this up here, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can talk
yeah.
to you for hours, sir. Okay, so fascinating. Finally,
Yeah.
what can fans expect from you this weekend at Tucson Comic-Con?
I just want to hang out. I want to say hi. We're going to have my book, and this is the very first edition of the book is going to be at Comic-Con, and I'm going to be signing books if you want to come get a book. The book doesn't come out till September 30th, but you can get an advanced first edition of the book today and tomorrow at Comic-Con. If you just find where the Ninja Turtles are, you'll find me there. Come say hi, and I look forward to seeing all you guys.
Now, if somebody wants to keep in contact with you or follow your career, do you have a website, social
Yeah,
media?
well, two things. One is committedimpulse.com, which
Mhm.
has all my teaching and has a blog, etc. And also reach out to me on Instagram at Josh Pais, JoshPais.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time. I know you got a busy day. Took a little bit more out of your time than I expected, but like I said, I could talk to you for hours. I really enjoyed the book. I'm
I
going to actually do the work and actually read the book slower and go through that. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great talking with you.
And I look forward to hopefully meeting you a little bit later on today,
I can't
actually.
wait. I'll
All
be
right.
there.
All
All right.
right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.